Well, the Pakistani government has tried its best to control the Taliban problem. When forced didn't work, they began a second campaign through techniques that would work on heart and mind. The army is rebuilding much of what it had destroyed during fights. It has even constructed a new technical college alongside new homes and cottage enterprises. The aim is to create jobs so that these young people are not tempted to join the Taliban. But after Pakistan's joint operation with America to put an end to the Taliban, the war on terror resulted in the death of several innocents along with the terrorists. Hence, the common people of this terror nest are not at all grateful of what the army has done for them.
ये यहाँ के रहने ये पाकिस्तानी है, दियारे पाकिस्तानी। उस वक़्त का हालात अच्छे थे, बुरे नहीं थे, लेकिन जब ऑपरेशन हुआ, तब हालात बिगड़ गया। During in operation, और जो होता मकान सब हमारे मकान सब तबाह हो गए हैं।
Were you scared of the Taliban when they were here?
نه هرد الله خو چې څوره لوکل خلک زیاتو پکشه لوکل خلک وا چې مثال پاکستان خلک وا چې لوکل خلک د ځغ خو نه ډارې د غار سړی یا زود وشوره ده ها راته ها مارکیټ نه وي د کنه هر څه وی برابر.
So when you came back and saw everything was destroyed, how did you feel?
طبيعي خدا طبيعي وا چې خو د میډیا ولا ته صحیح معلومات نشته ده سیده خبره چې مله خو غونډه رانګې دي کنه چا کورنه تبا شي دي اچھا ارڅ ختم شوی دي سکولینا کلوز دي تعلیم نشته برای راست خالی داس ټیچر روشي مثلا زیری او کو بیا لور شي دا چې څومره سکوړ کې دي دغه 3-4 سال الریډي ضایع شوی دي 4 چیرې ټوټل 9 سال مثال دا ضایع شوی دي دا خو بالکل صحیح خو هر چاته پتا ده.
The locals say none of them were really afraid of the Taliban, and until the siege by the Pakistan and US Army, they claim things were actually normal. They claim after the army operation, their businesses have slowed down and there are several residents who have lost their homes forever. Now they blame the Pakistani government for their bad fortunes. Despite the grieving residents, this place is still under the army's control. But just a few kilometers from here, at the north of Waziristan, it is still a terrorist hotbed. A place where terrorists roam freely, with no worries of the government or even the army. They say the Pakistani government is in fact afraid of launching a full-scale operation.
This continues indefinitely. The Taliban will become more powerful than the army.
The Pakistani Taliban even has a media wing. It makes internet videos like this one, teaching children to be suicide bombers. Pakistan is now trying desperately to stop this insurgency. The attack against these homegrown terrorists is proving to be a catalyst. The terror attacks are only increasing. For many years, the Pakistani intelligence agency ISI is known to have secretly supported the Taliban militants in Afghanistan and even has helped insurgents spread terror in India. The ISI helped the Taliban in the Afghan war with the aim to have a compliant neighbor no matter which side won the war.
I mean, the fact was that, and people like myself were warning, in my writings, I've been warning the Pakistani government back in 2003 that, because I visited some of these training camps and I saw what the army and the ISI were doing in 2003. And I wrote about this. And of course, they didn't like it. But I said, the more you do this, encourage the Taliban to attack in Afghanistan, the backlash is going to come on Pakistan. because these camps and this setup and this radicalization is all taking place in Pakistan with the help of Pakistani tribesmen who are then going to get radicalized. And of course, that's exactly what happened. You had the growth of the Pakistani Taliban.
Now the US Army is not waiting for any permission from Pakistan to crush the Taliban. Every day, drone strikes are destroying many training camps such as these. But each successful attack creates more enemies among the public.
Were inspired by the Afghan Taliban. They have the same worldview. The Pakistani Taliban looked to the Afghan Taliban for leadership. The Pakistani Taliban were happy to fight in Afghanistan until the Pakistan government and army, under US pressure, started action against them in Pakistan. Then they started looking inwards. They began fighting the Pakistani state. So I think their main battle now is in Pakistan.
The Pakistani army is trying their best to contain the situation. Many of the captured Taliban militants are even being rehabilitated, but the war is clearly not over as yet. It is merely entering into the next phase. Now, terror breeding is not limited to Waziristan. The situation of the entire country is really bad. The police, apart from the army, are forced to fight the insurgents. They often find themselves outgunned and outnumbered.
طالبانو سره دا سیټونه کنه او نو مطلب دی چې موږ سره دا واړه سیټونه دي هغه کمیونیکیشن زیات نشي کم دی دی کوم تیز موږ لا پکار دی چې تیز موږ سره سب हम ये जो है ना इसी पोजीशन में खड़े हैं कि जो है ना धमाके भी होते हैं हमारे जवान भी जो है ना खड़े हैं शहीद होते हैं बाकी तनख्वाह कम है तनख्वाह हाँ तो अगर इस पर कोई गौर किया जाए तो फिर बेहतर होगा सर.
Imagine fighting a homegrown enemy which doesn't fear death. They will stop at nothing until they have had their way.
I think that suicide bombing and the use of IEDs, improvised explosive devices, that's the two most effective weapons now available with militants in this part of the world. The young people who agree to become suicide bombers, I think their numbers are really big. They can even afford to send bombers to attack insignificant targets. They're all willing to die. I remember one of the Afghan Taliban commanders, he claimed once that he had about 5,000 suicide bombers. The way they recruit people, the way they brainwash them, that is very effective. In fact, I remember once receiving a phone call from Qari Hussain, the master trainer of suicide bombers. So he said, I can turn the young man into a suicide bomber in half an hour. And I said, how come? He said, it's very easy, because there is so much anger among Muslims against America, against the allies of the Western countries, like the Pakistani state, Pakistani army. He said, our villages have been attacked, our women and children have been killed. So we can very easily motivate these families to supply us fighters and suicide bombers. And he then told me that you are an old man, but if you sit with me for half an hour, I can turn you into a suicide bomber. So he's so confident of what he is doing.
What will the Pakistani army and the rest of the world do to stop the enemy within? Are there more attacks to come? will more innocent lives be lost in the war against terror? Most importantly, what are the countermeasures that India will take to ensure that these dreaded terrorists do not cross the border? Well, it remains to be seen. A News 9 report.